And there's like 3 decisions that control people's entire lives. They're happening right now as people are listening, and they can test in their own mind if it's true, right? They don't have to believe me. I found these 3 out because when I was a little kid, I grew up in a pretty tough environment. I had 4 different fathers, and we had never had money even for food. I mean, Thanksgiving with no food, and my parents are fighting. And I discovered this because there's a knock on the door. I got younger brother and sister. I'm trying to make sure they don't hear this shit. I go to the door, and there's this tall guy there. You know, I was a little kid in those days. He's got 2 giant bags of groceries. On the ground, he's got an uncooked turkey in a pan. And he goes, "Is your father here?" And I'm like, just one moment, right? And my parents are screaming, saying things that you can never take back. And I'm like, Dad, you gotta come open the door, right? And my dad's like, "You open it." I said, "I did." He said, "It's for you." "Who is it?" "I don't know." So my dad goes, and I'm sitting like a little kid. I'm just so excited. We're gonna have this incredible Thanksgiving dinner. It's gonna save our family. Everybody's gonna be happy. My dad was not happy when they opened the door. He looked at this guy with the groceries. Before the guy said a word, he said, "We don't accept charity," and went and slammed the door. And the guy's foot had been there. He wasn't trying to. It just bounced off his foot, which made my dad even more pissed. And he goes, "Sir, I'm just the delivery guy." He said, "You know, someone knows you're having a tough time. Everybody has tough times and they want you to have a great Thanksgiving. I'm just delivery." And my father said, "We don't accept charity." And at this point, the guy had leaned in a little bit, so it hit his shoulder and his foot and bounced out again. So now my dad's getting more mad. And then the guy, who was a ballsy guy, even as a kid, I could see it. He saw me standing there, probably saw what was on my face, and he goes, "Sir, please don't make your family suffer because of your ego." And the veins on the side of my father's face, I thought he was going to punch the man's face out. And my father, I don't know what it is, he looked at me, he looked at the man, he took the food, he closed the door, his shoulders dropped, and he walked out of the room. And he left our family about 2 years later. He's the one who adopted me. I carry his name. I loved him dearly. It was what I thought was the worst event of my life. But about, I don't know, a year and a half later, kept thinking, like, what made this happen? And it served me, because I've used this same set of understandings I'm sharing, like when 9/11 happened and I got 2,000 people from 50 different countries and people are freaking out, you know, when it was happening. And what I figured out was there's these 3 decisions. Most decisions are made unconsciously. And like 48% of what we do, depending on which doctor you read, is about habit. What's great about habit is you don't have to think. What's bad about habit is you don't change, right? And so most people make these decisions unconsciously. But what are they? 1, you decide every moment of your life, you're making a decision consciously or unconsciously what to focus on. So if you focus on the worst scenario, of course, you're gonna feel sick to your stomach, right? And then you find out it's not true and you're fine, right? Focus equals feeling. But there's patterns of focus. So if I asked your audience right now, or all you guys, what do you think most people focus on more? What they have or what's missing?
The latter.
What's missing. And including super achievers. Like some of the biggest achievers are always focusing on what's missing because they're always trying to get to the next level. So what happens? As a result, when you're always focused on what's missing, you cannot sustain happiness. It has nothing to do with how intelligent you are. It's just like software. So you always look at what's missing, so you never feel fulfilled or alive, right? And so you keep being on the hamster wheel trying to do more, and it's never enough. And that's what people end up being, pushing and pushing and pushing, and you see them burn out, you have everything, and they're miserable. Second pattern. And by the way, we all do both. It's just where do you live more? And most people focus on what's missing. Do you think most people focus on what they can or can't control?
Probably the latter.
Can't is most people. Now, in my events, when I ask this to 15,000 people, most people focus on what they can control. That's why they're there, right? They came to take control of their body, their mind, or their business, or whatever, right? But for the average population, and during COVID, there's so much you can't control. It's easy to be focused on what you can't control, right? So what do you think happens to somebody who's constantly focusing on what's missing and constantly focusing on what they can't control? They're gonna be pissed or angry, overwhelmed, or stressed or depressed. Then add the third one, and I gave you a dozen, we'll just do 3. What do you think most people spend their time more? The past, the present, or the future?
Future.
Future?
Probably a mix of the two, past or future. Definitely not the present.
Depends on the person.
Right.
Most achievers focus on the future. You are correct. Most people who are unhappy and frustrated, which unfortunately is the majority of humans, most people are not happy and thrilled and have a great body and a great relationship. We all can, but very few people do because they're focused on the past, and usually they can't change it. Or they focus on a future that they're concerned about. And either way, they're stressed. So I asked people, I got 20,000 people in a stadium, and say, how many of you know somebody who takes antidepressants and they're still depressed? And 85% of the hands go up. You guys know anybody like that?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't take any antidepressants anymore, but
Yeah.
when I did, I was still completely,
Yeah.
they do nothing. For
So,
me,
so the question is, why is that? Well, on the side it says create suicidal thoughts. That's a clue, right? But it numbs you, right? That's what it does. It doesn't change the source of the problem, which is you're constantly focusing on what you can't control, what's missing, perhaps the past. Just as 3 examples.
Band-Aid over a bullet wound.
Exactly right. Oh, that's a good metaphor. I like that. I'll steal that. May I?
Just like put George
Full
J.
credit. I like
the
that.
turtleneck.
Look at the way he's sitting right now.
Because I didn't want to disrespect him like
No,
this.
it's good. I mean, just with the turtleneck and the, like, you look
Guys,
so
we're in front of,
sophisticated.
we're not in front of rappers anymore, guys. You gotta,
But the point is, when you change those decisions, like the first decision is focus. Then the second decision is, what does it mean? The minute you focus on something, you got to, what does it mean? So you wake up and feel like shit, what does it mean? Well, I effed up last night, or it's the end of the world,
Like a
or
checkup.
it doesn't matter,
A
right?
checkup.
The meaning creates your life. But when you said emotional home, what I learned is that people have an emotional home. Like some people, I'm sure you know, no matter what happens, they're pissed off. Or no matter what happens, they're worried. They worry about other people and themselves. Or you know somebody that's not funny, but they think they are. And no matter what happens, they have a good time, right? So people have an emotional home.
it's an inside
He
joke that
looking at
needs
you
to
on
die
that
right
one?
now. It's like funny here, but that's my career, guys. yeah, you're already a billionaire. Okay. I'm gonna go crawl up this little slide.
We have a jetpack for you.
I believe you.
But my point is, like, if you think, you know, God is punishing you, that's why this is happening, which some people do, or God is challenging me, or is this a gift from God, this problem, or has it got nothing to do with God? I'm just a lazy bitch, you know, I'm not doing anything, right? Or is somebody dissing me? Are they disrespecting me? Or are they challenging me? Are they coaching me? Are they loving me? You know, or relationship. Is it the end or the beginning? You think it's the end of relationship, you behave very differently than the beginning relationship. So the meanings we select change how we feel instantly. And because we have habits of meanings, people have habits of emotion where they kind of live. So you see people in some part of the country and you feel for them, like they come by and a cyclone destroys their home or a flood or whatever. And then you see them picking up what's left of their life and you pray for them, you care for them. And then 3 years later it happens again, and 3 years it happens again, and you go like, why don't they move? You know, because it's what they know.
Right.
And we have an emotional home that we rarely move from, that we find a way to get back to. But if you change these 3 patterns, what you focus on, what things mean, finding empowering meaning, and then what you do is controlled by how you feel. If you're pissed, you're gonna behave differently than if you're feeling good. So those 3 patterns literally control your life. Most people, those patterns are unconscious, so they keep experiencing life the same way.
How do they make it a conscious action for people watching this? When they wake up tomorrow, what's the first action they could do tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. to start renovating their emotional home?
The first thing they should do is change their physiology. Because before you try to take care of your mind, you take care of your body.